After graduation, the man I'd pined after for years, Caspian Thorne, got married. I heard whispers of unhappiness, infidelity with some vapid pretty boy, and impending divorce. I was agonizing over whether to offer condolences when Caspian contacted me. Sign the divorce papers. I'm keeping the kid. My jaw dropped. Could I be the one who married him? 3 years post-graduation, I was having dinner with a friend when I saw Caspian. He was as breathtakingly handsome as ever, standing by the restroom. With a miniature version of himself. They seemed to be waiting for someone. He was married. 7 years of silent adoration. And I find him a father. Swallowing the bitter lump in my throat, I approached. Caspian, what a coincidence. Is this your little one? He's adorable. I crouched down. Hello there, sweetie. Call me Auntie. Caspian scooped up the child, his voice glacial. Miss Sullivan, you're quite the chameleon. 1 minute you're demanding a divorce, the next you don't recognize your own son. I stared at the child, his wide eyes blinking back at me. What was he talking about? What did this little boy have to do with me? Then it hit me. The restaurant wasn't the hot pot place I'd entered. It was a Szechuan restaurant. And where was my friend? Panic seized me. I gripped Caspian's arm. Caspian, you're Caspian Thorne, right? Graduated Northwood Medical in 19. He looked at me like I was crazy, didn't answer and turned to leave. The little boy waved, his voice a sweet chime. Bye, Mommy. It was ludicrous. A trip to the restroom, and I'd apparently gotten married and had a child. Either I was losing it or Caspian was. Caspian, wait. His gaze flicked to my hand on his arm, frigid. I let go instantly. Caspian, I don't know what's happening, but I genuinely don't remember anything. Are you claiming amnesia? Amnesia? Not impossible. I nodded vigorously. A cold smile touched his lips. He handed me a manila envelope. Divorce papers. Review the terms and sign if you agree. I stammered. This isn't appropriate in front of the child. Can we discuss this later? You didn't seem concerned about appropriateness when you brought that man home. Thunderstruck, I looked at the little boy for answers. He just clung to Caspian, looking forlorn. My mind was reeling. It took a day to process the situation. I seemed to have stumbled into a parallel universe. I was still me, Caspian was still Caspian. The difference? We were married with a child. And our marriage was clearly in trouble. I had apparently cheated. But where was the me of this universe? Had we swapped places in the restroom? I had no idea. A knock interrupted my thoughts. A small head peeked in. Daddy says he needs the study. I beckoned the boy in. He hesitated, then shyly darted over. I held him on my lap, studying his features. Caspian's eyes, my face shape. Our son. A wave of tenderness washed over me. I kissed his cheek and he blushed crimson, squirming before settling again, whispering, Mommy, you smell nice. My heart melted. I was about to speak when the door opened again, Caspian filling the frame. Daddy! The boy scrambled off my lap and hugged Caspian's leg. Caspian, fresh from the shower, hair damp, droplets tracing his neck and disappearing beneath his collar. The man I loved right there. My heart hammered. His next words shattered the illusion. Miss Sullivan. Isn't this a little late for maternal affection? I'm not. Anything I said would be wrong. I gave up. Just get to work. I'll shower. As I left, the boy glanced at me, still clinging to Caspian. Disappointment pricked me. Not only did my husband not love me, but my son didn't either. Why had we married? Why had we had a child? The master bedroom held a single large bed. The monotone gray sheets were impeccably smooth. Clothes in the walk-in closet were arranged by shade. The whole room whispering dreary. I rummaged through the drawers but found none of my clothes. Defeated, I knocked on the study door. SP. Husband, excuse me. Caspian looked up, his gold-rimmed glasses perched on his nose, the picture of restrained intellect. Do you know where my pajamas are? I can only find yours in the closet. He stared for a few seconds, then rose and walked towards me, stopping inches away. Amnesia, is it? Suddenly, I wasn't sure which was more believable. Amnesia or a parallel universe. Thankfully, he didn't press. He turned and left the room. I stood there, bewildered. He glanced back. Aren't you coming? He was going to show me? Thank you. A minute later, I opened the closet door. Then quickly slammed it shut, my face burning. These are. Caspian leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, a sardonic smile playing on his lips, a go-on, keep acting expression. I swallowed my question and opened the door again. The clothes were so risque. I felt like I'd stumbled into a porn star's wardrobe. Was this universe's version of me? That uninhibited? Ignoring Caspian's gaze, I rummaged, unable to find anything remotely modest. Then, out of desperation, I turned to the amused spectator and asked, "Husband, which one do you like?" His eyes darkened. He didn't answer, just turned and left, slamming the door behind him. Was he angry? I wondered if our marital problems stemmed from incompatibility in the bedroom. After showering, I checked on the boy. He was asleep, clutching a stuffed animal. I gently removed his thumb from his mouth and tucked him in, feeling a pang of maternal instinct. It was embarrassing. I still didn't know his name or age. I looked at our marriage certificate. 3 years ago. The boy must be around too. Leaving his room, I collided with a hard chest in the hallway. I almost screamed. It was Caspian. I still hadn't adjusted to being married to him. The man I'd worshipped from afar was now within touching distance. My heart raced. "Finished?" he asked. "Yes." I didn't know what to say. "So bedtime." He didn't move. I clutched my robe tighter, trying to conceal the revealing nightgown. "I'll go in then." I entered the master bedroom, unsure which side he preferred, lay down and pulled the covers over me, perfectly prim. Caspian entered and stopped staring. I was getting used to being stared at. "Which side do you usually sleep on?" Silence. Was it just the me of this universe who was different, or was Caspian acting strangely too? I sat up. "You choose then, okay?" "Why so difficult?" This time he moved, lying down on the other side. I breathed a sigh of relief and lay back down. The room was pitch black. My mind was a jumble. Sleep was impossible. My robe was digging into my back. Hearing Caspian's breathing even out, I carefully sat up and started to remove it. Success. I tossed it on the floor, relieved he hadn't woken up. Suddenly I was pinned beneath him. He was awake, leaning over me, his breath warm on my face. "Caspian, you're awake?" I'd forgotten to call him husband in my fright. "What are you doing?" "Huh. You proposed, you filed for divorce, and now you're seducing me in the dark. What's your game?" "Say seducing?" My eyes widened. I'd forgotten how revealing my nightgown was. Thank goodness for the darkness hiding my blush. "I wasn't trying to. I'm sorry." I fumbled for the robe, only succeeding in pushing it further away. Panicked that he'd be disgusted, I was near tears. He finally moved, his voice cold. "Rowan, whatever tricks you're playing, I'm not interested. I expect you to be back to normal tomorrow. No more amnesia games. I'll be in Ethan's room tonight. Do as you please." Caspian left. Ethan. So that was my son's name. I lay awake until dawn. Around 7 a.m., I heard sounds of someone getting ready, and Caspian talking to someone. He must have hired a nanny for Ethan. The door closed. Caspian left. I lay there contemplating. I'd always been awkward with relationships, which explained my years of unrequited feelings for Caspian. I'd fantasized about being his wife, how good I'd be to him. Clearly, even with the marriage I craved, I was a mess. The bedroom door opened. A plump woman stood there, apologizing profusely. "I'm so sorry, I didn't realize anyone was in here." "It's fine, I was getting up anyway." She relaxed. "I thought you were in your room. Mr. Thorne didn't mention you were sleeping in here when he left." "My room?" I remembered the guest room Caspian had taken me to last night. There was a bed in there. Had we been sleeping separately? That explained his accusation of seduction. I groaned. Ethan, hearing the noise, padded in barefoot, stopping shyly at the door. "Ethan." I held out my hand. He raced over and tumbled onto the bed, beaming, his 2 front teeth on display. "Mommy." His eyes shone. Regardless of my relationship with Caspian, I would be good to Ethan. I spoke with the nanny and took Ethan to the mall. Partly to buy him toys, partly to buy myself some decent clothes. This universe's me had a fashion sense I couldn't emulate. I casually asked Ethan about his mommy. He thought for a moment, then shook his head. "Doesn't play with Ethan." He added quietly, "Mean." Children didn't lie. If that was true, the 2 versions of me were drastically different. Not just in fashion, but in everything. Why had Caspian married me? Did he actually like this version of me? His taste was questionable. "Mommy, I want that." Ethan tugged at my shirt. pointing to the irresistible lure of KFC. His eyes sparkled with mischief. Okay. I caved. Half an hour later, Ethan and I sat dejectedly in Caspian's office, like criminals awaiting sentencing. The evidence. An unopened bucket of fried chicken. Ethan had wanted to share his spoils with his daddy. Caspian's hospital was nearby, and I saw this as a chance to mend our relationship. I hadn't anticipated his reaction to the fast food. His brow furrowed. Why did you buy Ethan this junk? I panicked. It's for me. Not for Ethan. And you think it's okay for you to eat it? He looked like he could knit a sweater with his furrowed brow. Fried food drastically lowers the body's pH, creating an acidic environment. Normal pH is between 7.35 and 7.45, but if it drops to 6.8, cancer cells proliferate. I blinked. So, increased cancer risk. Finally dawned on me. He was concerned about me. Subtle much? Ethan pouted. I asked Mommy to buy it. Daddy mean. Caspian smiled, then a dimple appearing. The first time I'd seen him smile in this universe. He tapped Ethan's forehead. Bribed by a bucket of KFC? He glanced at me. I have some work to do. Wait for me in the lounge. His eyes flicked to the KFC. Only 2 pieces. This is an exception. He hadn't thrown us out. A good sign? I breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks, Caspian. He looked momentarily startled, then murmured, and looked away. As we entered the lounge, someone knocked on Caspian's office door. Got a minute? I haven't been feeling well lately. Could you check my pulse? The voice was familiar. It was Dr. Lyra Reed, a classmate who, along with Caspian, had been a star student at Northwood, a shining example of medical excellence. But Lyra had been fiercely competitive, almost hostile towards Caspian, resenting his brilliance and aloof demeanor. I rarely saw them together, but here they were friends working at the same hospital. Caspian's voice was cool. Chi deficiency. You need rest. No time for rest. Too many surgeries, not enough staff. Lyra's voice was sugary sweet. I heard from your mother that you're getting divorced. What happened with that junior? She was a junior, wasn't she? I gasped. My goodness, the saccharine tone dripping with passive aggressiveness. The Lyra of this universe was so different. Caspian clearly sensed the undercurrent. Since when did you become so interested in gossip? Well, your sudden marriage was a surprise. I never even noticed her in school. Lyra chuckled. But I think it's for the best. You two are from different worlds. Your mother said she's a live streamer. How many of them are decent? Think about Ethan, if not yourself. Children learn by example. Caspian's pen slammed onto his notepad. Lyra, you're crossing a line. Lyra paused. Sorry, I'm just feeling indignant on your behalf. You deserve better. I know what's best for me. I don't want to hear anyone criticizing my family again. Fine. Lyra rose. I bought Ethan some new clothes. I'll give them to you after work. Lyra left, the office falling silent. Ethan was busy demolishing his chicken, grease smeared around his mouth. He offered me a half-eaten wing. Mommy, eat. You eat it, sweetie. I had lost my appetite. Piecing together Lyra's words, I realized I was apparently a live streamer, coupled with the wardrobe I'd seen. I shuddered. Not being from the same world, my behavior influencing Ethan negatively. Was I an adult entertainer? A traditional Chinese medicine practitioner married to that? No wonder his mother disapproved. No wonder we were divorcing. I wasn't so sure about the cheating accusation anymore. What should I do? Continue the charade or? Rowan. Caspian's voice broke through my thoughts. He had changed into casual clothes, looking incredibly handsome. You're off work. I realized. Precisely 3 minutes and 20 seconds ago. He looked at me. Meaning you've been staring into space for exactly 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I blinked. My first thought, even high-achieving doctors clocked out on the dot. I thought only slackers like me did that. For some reason, the distance between us felt smaller. Caspian drove home. Ethan was strapped into his car seat. I hesitated. Where should I sit? Yesterday, I would have jumped into the front passenger seat without a thought. Now I wasn't sure. I sighed and opened the back door. Planning to treat me like a chauffeur? I paused mid-climb. I retracted my leg. No, just testing the door handle. He gave me a look that clearly expressed his opinion of my lame excuse. Ethan fell asleep. The drive was silent, awkwardness filling the car. Finally I spoke. Caspian, what if I told you I wasn't me? That I was someone else? Would you believe me? Not you? Yesterday it was amnesia, today it's possession. I bit my lip. No, I mean, do you believe in parallel universes? He was silent for a moment, then chuckled. If you can present a logical argument, I'm willing to entertain the possibility. I couldn't. Never mind. After a long pause, I asked, Caspian, why did you marry me in the first place? He had better options. Why me? He took so long to answer I thought he wouldn't. Does it matter now? My heart sank. No, it didn't. We were getting divorced. Back home, Caspian retreated to the study, leaving me with Ethan. He was avoiding me. That night, after showering, I found him emerging from the study. Ethan's asleep? Yes. I clutched my towel awkwardly. You should rest too. I'll go to bed. I started towards the guest room. He caught my arm. Where are you going? The guest room. He frowned. We're not divorced yet, Miss Sullivan. Are you planning to sleep separately already? No, but the nanny said we always. The nanny? You don't remember and you're asking the nanny. I was stunned. I didn't remember. But he implied. I was mistaken. Had we always slept together? I trudged back to the master bedroom, pillow in hand. My second time sharing a bed with Caspian. I was so nervous I felt sick. The sound of the shower running filled the air. My mind conjured images of him showering. My face burned. This was torture. I got up to escape. The bathroom door opened at that exact moment. As if on cue, he stood there, a towel wrapped around his waist, his torso bare, sculpted abs faintly visible. I gulped and dove back under the covers. Sleepwalking. A low chuckle came from the other side of the room. My face flamed again. The mattress dipped beside me. He was in bed. Sleeping with your head under the covers is unhealthy. The covers were whisked away. Before I could react, I was pulled into his arms. Go to sleep. I froze, my heart pounding against his chest. Just like this. Unless you had something else in mind? I flinched. I'm already asleep. I squeezed my eyes shut, not daring to move. Exhausted from the previous sleepless night, I drifted off. Caspian's scent was calming, lulling me into unconsciousness. My last thought before sleep claimed me. This didn't feel like a couple about to divorce. After that, Caspian became odd. He never mentioned divorce again, as if the whole thing had never happened. He even started making demands. 7 a.m. He was like an alarm clock, rousing me for exercise. You're the one who wanted me to train you. Think you can get out of it by feigning amnesia. 12 p.m. His call for lunch was punctual. You promised to bring me lunch every day. Changing your mind now. Friday afternoon. A text message. I'm off duty tomorrow. The weather's nice, let's go hiking. Remember? Weekend family outings were your idea. What was wrong with me? By his account, I wanted to spend 18 out of 24 hours with him. How had I found time to cheat? I was a time management guru. The worst part was I couldn't verify any of his claims. I had to play along, pretending to remember. Thanks to the daily lunch deliveries, everyone in Caspian's department knew me. They teased him relentlessly. Dr. Thorne, you're the luckiest man alive. Your wife is beautiful and devoted. What more could you ask for? They even gave us a model couple award. I didn't have the heart to tell them the divorce papers were still tucked away in my bag. One afternoon I brought Caspian lunch. He wasn't in his office. The nurse told me he was still seeing patients. Bored, I picked up a book from his desk. A printed travel itinerary slipped out. A list of local parks and attractions. What was this? I glanced at his computer screen. The search bar was still open. Best weekend getaways with wife and child. Local day trip itineraries. Family travel checklist. What was he doing all day? Slacking off? The door opened. I slammed the laptop shut. Caspian had finished seeing patients. What are you looking at? I shook my head vehemently. Nothing. He didn't press, handing me a bottle of hand sanitizer. Let's eat. Just as I opened the lunchbox, the door opened again. I could smell that deliciousness from a mile away. Mind if I join you, Caspian? It was Lyra. I stood up instinctively. Hello, Dr. Reed. She ignored me completely, settling next to Caspian. Not very loyal, keeping the good stuff to yourself. I stood there awkwardly, unsure whether to stay or leave. Did I invite you in? Caspian's voice was sharp. Lyra looked taken aback. Huh. Caspian's eyes didn't leave his food. Has no one taught Dr. Reed to knock and wait for a response before entering? Basic social etiquette. Lyra was clearly flustered. We've always. So a lack of manners is Dr. Reed's standard operating procedure? Lyra's face flushed. Caspian, what's gotten into you? I'd appreciate it if you left us to enjoy our lunch in peace. Lyra glared at me and stormed out, slamming the door. My heart hammered. Caspian. Did you just have a fight? No, he seemed perfectly calm. I was confused. Weren't they friends? Why the sudden hostility? Caspian looked at me, exasperation in his eyes. Can't you assert yourself a little? You were clearly uncomfortable with her presence. Why didn't you say something? I blinked. He'd gotten angry with Lyra because he noticed my discomfort? My eyes stung. It reminded me of our first meeting. Freshman year. I'd gone to the restroom in the library and returned to find my textbooks gone, replaced by someone else's. The seat was empty. Someone had saved it for a friend. Excuse me, I was sitting here. Oh, I thought you'd left. They hadn't moved their books. I stood there for a long time, too timid to ask again. Caspian had intervened, tossing the books back and telling me to sit down. He'd said, "Speak up when you feel wronged. Expressing your feelings isn't shameful." I'd never learned that lesson. Lost in the memory, I blurted out, "Caspian, will you always protect me?" He looked surprised, then thoughtful. "Yes, but it depends on how well you behave." I was about to reply when my phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. "Hey there, just one more time? Do you still need me?" My blood ran cold. What kind of suggestive nonsense was this? Was this my lover? My scalp prickled. I looked at Caspian. Caspian, hypothetically, if I had cheated, would you break their legs? Right then. I quietly blocked the number. I wasn't the real Rowan Sullivan. I could just deny everything. A few days later, my phone rang. A woman's voice barked. "Rowan, when are you going back on air? Your fans are clamoring for you." My hand trembled. Who is this? A few seconds of silence, then an explosion of sound. Who am I? Your brain must be addled with love. Your fans spotted you at the hospital the other day. What were you wearing? A potato sack? Rowan, do you even remember? You're a fashion blogger. Our brand launch is at the end of the year. This is prime promotion time. If you pull another disappearing act like you did when you got married and pregnant, I'll be at your doorstep with a machete. My ears rang. She said I was a fashion blogger? I thought I was something else entirely. After hanging up, I Googled my name. 700,000 followers. My hand shook as I scrolled through the results. Photos. Of me. But not really me. The woman in the pictures was me, but brighter, more vibrant. Stylish clothes, impeccable makeup, radiating confidence and charisma. I scrolled through the posts. The latest was an ad for a new fashion brand. J&K? Rowan's own creation. I finally understood how Rowan had ended up with Caspian. She was radiant, captivating. I couldn't sleep that night. Before, in my ignorance, I'd thought I was on a mission to save my marriage, that the Rowan of this universe was unhappy. Now I knew better. She had a handsome husband, an adorable son, a fulfilling career, and the confidence I lacked in my own world. Caspian slept peacefully beside me. This wasn't my world, this wasn't my happiness. I was a thief of time. In my own world, I was an ordinary office worker. A predictable life, a 9-to-5 job. Not particularly. Pretty, average grades, timid, my greatest joy collapsing on my bed after work and scrolling through my phone. My life was utterly unremarkable. And here I was trying to change something that wasn't mine. I hugged myself. I wanted to go home. That night I asked Caspian, if you woke up one day and realized the woman next to you wasn't the woman you thought she was, would you still care about her? I expected him to brush me off. He surprised me. What's your definition of the woman you thought she was? I don't know, beautiful, independent, confident, brave? Well, aren't you all of those things? That was Rowan, not me. No one loved mushrooms that thrived in the dark. Everyone loved sunflowers that basked in the sun. His answer didn't comfort me. It made me sadder. He pinched my cheek. You're more than enough for me. Stop overthinking. I managed a weak smile. Okay. Despite his reassurance, I spiraled into self-doubt. I obsessively watched Rowan's videos, copying her makeup and style, trying to become her. Caspian, however, became my biggest obstacle. Medically speaking, those cosmetics can cause photodermatitis, hyperpigmentation, acne, and hair damage. What are you wearing? Your back is completely exposed and that skirt is far too short. It's spring, the weather is unpredictable. You already have a weak constitution. Do you want chronic arthritis in your old age? Is that it? I'm not against heels, but those are ridiculously high. Don't come crying to me when you have bunions and deformed toes. I snapped. Why didn't you care before? Why are you suddenly so concerned? His gaze intensified. How do you know I didn't care before? I pouted. You just don't want me to look good. But that's not you. He frowned. Why not just be yourself? Besides, I think you look fine as you are. What? I stared at him, convinced I'd misheard. He avoided my gaze. We're taking Ethan out today, remember? Go change. I'll wait outside. He practically fled. I noticed his ears were red. That's not you. What did he mean? We became more like a real couple. The closer we got, the more anxious I became. What would happen when I left? One day while shopping with Caspian, a young man stopped us. Rowan. He looked like a college student, lean with a playful smirk. And a single dimple. His tone was overly familiar. Long time no see. I called you a few times but you didn't answer. Been busy. I had no idea who he was. I just stared. Don't you remember me? He looked hurt. I felt a pang of guilt. Sorry. No worries. He scratched his head. You hired me to pretend to be your boyfriend, to provoke your husband, remember? No, I did that. I suddenly remembered the text message. Do you still need me? It must have been him. He blinked. Are you two back together now? We learned some new acting techniques in class. My skills have improved considerably. No need. I waved my hands frantically. Look, if you don't mind. Caspian appeared, having parked the car. And then, for some inexplicable reason, the boy slung his arm around me. Hey, this is your husband, right? Don't worry, this time we'll use the Brecht method. Just watch. Before I could react, he gasped dramatically and clung to me. No, don't leave me. Is it your husband? He won't give you a divorce? I'll wait for you. I'll wait forever. I glanced at Caspian. He stared back expressionless. The boy continued his theatrical performance. Remember that night? You told me your husband couldn't satisfy you, that you hadn't felt like a woman in ages. Caspian's face darkened. I cringed. Dude, that's enough. You're overdoing it. Way overdoing it. His grip was like iron. Caspian approached, an ominous aura surrounding him. I blurted out. I don't know him. I swear. He's just harassing me. Drama department. Class of 2020, student of Professor Wang? The boy froze. How did you know? Your drama teacher is my cousin. The boy released me instantly, standing at attention. Caspian pinched the bridge of his nose. I'll have a chat with her about her students' professionalism and conduct. The boy's face crumbled. I'm sorry. I was stunned. How did you know? I looked into it after you hired him. He'd known all along that I hadn't cheated. This whole thing had nothing to do with me. I wasn't Rowan. And this boy had initiated the whole charade. Now that that's cleared up, shall we continue our day? Caspian remained rooted to the spot. I'd still like to discuss the part about me not being able to satisfy you. That's not true. And the part about you not feeling like a woman in ages? Lies. Caspian smirked. Perhaps we should go home and rectify that. I'm sorry to. Lately, I've been plagued by a sense of impending doom. I felt my time here was running out. Caspian, if you woke up one day and the person next to you wasn't me anymore, would you miss me? He frowned, confused. I couldn't explain. I leaned in and kissed him. Caspian, I'll miss you. Don't. His words froze me. I started to pull back, but he pulled me closer, deepening the kiss. If one day you're not you anymore, I'll find you. Wherever you are. A few days later, my fears materialized. Ethan's 3rd birthday. We were celebrating at a restaurant. In the restroom, I saw a fleeting glimpse of a figure. That resembled me. A fiery red dress, sparkling heels, cascading waves of hair. She saw me too. Panic flashed in her eyes. I reached for her, but she vanished. I rushed out of the restroom. The restaurant was different. I was back. My life returned to its usual gray hues. I splashed water on my face, took a deep breath and left the restroom, bracing myself for the monotony of my existence. Caspian was waiting outside. My heart leaped. Caspian! Had I not returned after all? No. When we left the restaurant in the other universe, he'd been wearing a crisp white shirt. He was meticulous about his appearance, his clothes always immaculate, his posture ramrod straight. The man before me wore a black hoodie, hands shoved in his pockets, a cigarette dangling from his lips, a mischievous glint in his eyes. This wasn't Caspian, but he looked exactly like him. I was bewildered. He raised an eyebrow. Where's Rowan? You're the wallflower from this universe. What? Excuse me. He ignored my question, extinguishing his cigarette. You switched back. Yes. How's Ethan? He knew Ethan. A ridiculous thought struck me. You know about the parallel universes? You're not Caspian. Not this universe's Caspian, are you? I gasped, my eyes widening. So the person I was with wasn't you. It was this universe's Caspian. That explained everything. Why everyone was different except him. Why timid little me was so bold and confident there. Why competitive Lyra was so syrupy sweet. Why my favorite hot pot place had become a Szechuan restaurant. He hadn't changed because he was from this world all along. And he pretended not to know, feigning disbelief in parallel universes. I looked at this other Caspian. When did you switch? A few days before you, I think. He rubbed his nose. Good thing you switched back with Rowan, or Caspian would have divorced her. For sure. So, did you two cause any trouble over there? You didn't actually go through with the divorce, did you? How's Ethan? Caspian had genuinely wanted to divorce Rowan? But why? She was so captivating. I stammered. No divorce. Everything's fine. Ethan's fine too. Good. He stretched. Now that you're back, I won't be visiting anymore. Sleeping with another man's wife makes me uncomfortable. Even if you're technically the same person. What? I'd never invited him to sleep with me. This man was ridiculous. My heart pounded. What if Caspian came back too? I could see him again. But what if he didn't acknowledge me? He'd never admitted to believing in parallel universes in that other world. I spent the next few days in a state of nervous anticipation. So anxious I missed my period. I usually ignored hormonal fluctuations, but this time I thought of Caspian, the doctor. With a flicker of hope, I booked an appointment. The day of my appointment I was a nervous wreck. But I needed closure for my strange journey. I opened the door to his office. Caspian sat at his desk in his pristine white coat, head slightly bent, only the straight line of his nose visible. He looked the same, but I knew. This was him. They were back. My hand trembled. Caspian, what a coincidence. He looked up. Not a coincidence. I was waiting for you. And in that moment I felt the sunlight on my face. This shy little mushroom had finally found its spring.